Ladies and gentlemen, this is UX and this is Russia's most bizarre conspiracy by channel NFKRZ. Yeah, this is the more Russian side of channel that I started to watch very recently. I guess I did a few videos from this as well, so especially the McDonald's one. Yeah, this is a great channel. Basically, this is the guy is Russian and he's a great video content creator. So I like how see perspective from his side. So I guess he's going to talk about bizarre conspiracy. It's always a fun topic. So yeah, we explored some quite weird conspiracy theories related to Russia on this channel before. He has. Whether it's the fact that USSR still exists or the Putin has clones, Russia has always been a source of some great conspiracy. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Let's watch it. Remember, flag Marikson. Don't forget to subscribe. So I know which type of videos to react to more, which type of channels to react to more. Comment down if you want to react to a specific video. Yeah.
Здравствуйте! Я наконец-то разузнал все про ядерный удар по Москве, который был в 1812 году.
Conspiracy theories.
We all love them,
Metro
we all
games
hate them,
and we all secretly believe in them. People from all over the world believe in conspiracy theories, and Russia is no exception. I've actually talked about quite a few Russian conspiracy theories on this channel before. For example, the conspiracy theory that the Soviet Union, the USSR, still exists, like legally as a real country right now, and that Russia is like a fake country and it doesn't actually exist. Yeah, that's a fun one. There's also a conspiracy theory about Putin, like dying a couple of years ago and actually being replaced by a double or a clone, and there's also like a theory about Putin having multiple clones actually. Yeah, pretty entertaining. But in today's video, guys...
Okay, I've seen that one, the Putin one, right? But I think that started because basically Putin is supposed to look more older now than he does. But I guess he's doing some kind of a surgery thing to him, right? I'm pretty sure that's the case. But that just leads people to think like, okay, why doesn't he look old? That means he must be a clone or something, right? That's the conspiracy.
Guys, I'm about to talk about a Russian conspiracy that is so unhinged that I actually didn't believe my eyes when I heard about it. This conspiracy states that during the French invasion of Russia, or the so-called War of 1812, when the French advanced to Moscow and the Russian troops left Moscow and set it on fire so that the French basically wouldn't have anything to take. That's an actual fact, by the way. I don't know if you knew about that, but yeah. Well, the theory states that actually in 1812, it was not just a regular fire. The city was just set on fire by some regular means that were appropriate at the time. No, in fact, what really happened is that in 1812, Moscow had a nuclear weapon dropped on it. A nuke. I'm not making this up. Now, guys, I don't think I need to explain why this theory seems insane. I mean, nukes in 1812? That's kind of wild, right? But a lot of people beg to differ.
1812, who needs Einstein, right? Who the fuck needs Einstein? E equals mc squared. What does that have to do with anything? 1812 is fine. I guess that does make sense when Napoleon ran away after that. Napoleon went all the way to Moscow. Captured Moscow. The Russians basically burned Moscow and ran away. And then, winter came, I guess. But apparently now we know it's a nuclear winter. Winter came and Napoleon ran back to Paris. And that's it. That was the downfall of Napoleon. It makes sense.
And they think that in 1812 there was a nuke that was dropped in Moscow which caused the fire. And also there's a lot of evidence to support this theory, and maybe the entire war of France against Russia wasn't really a war of France against Russia, but was more of a nuclear conflict that happened in the 19th century that, I don't know, the reptiloids are hiding from us. I don't know why, guys, they just are. Now, I'm actually not exactly aware where this originally came from, but there's a lot of information on like random websites in Russian. Some of these posts are like, people like me basically making fun of it, saying how this is like the most ridiculous theory they've heard, but there's actually a couple of like conspiracy websites where you go on and people are like being completely serious. They're being dead ass about this. So yeah, once again, I gave you the historical context. When Napoleon Bonaparte invaded Russia, the Russian army lost to the French in the legendary battle of Borodino, and essentially the French were moving into Moscow. And what happened is that the Russian army decided that they're gonna move the entirety of the population of Moscow out of the city, move all the troops as well, and just set the city on fire so that the French could not take Moscow. Maybe says a lot about the Russian mentality. We're gonna set the shit on fire, but you can't have it. Ни себе, ни людям, как говорится. But yeah, now let's read about why people think that it was not just a fire, but it was a nuclear explosion of Moscow. Essentially, here are the main arguments. First of all, they say that the Russian or the French side neither really wanted to burn Moscow, like there was no point to it. And I'm not a historian, but these conspiracy people, they provide a lot of sources, like war leaders both on the French and the Russian side. These just might be made up as well, like nobody fucking knows. There's also apparently
a lot of... There is no point of it. If you burn Moscow, that shows the mentality. Russians basically sending the message that we are not gonna back down. Even if you take Moscow, we'll fucking burn it. It's not important. It's not important to us or something like that. So Napoleon believed that as soon as he takes Moscow, that's it. Russians will eventually, come to the table or whatever. Just, just wave the white flag or whatever. But that sends a message like, we don't give a shit about Moscow. We'll just burn it. You don't defeat Russia like that. That was the messaging thing, right? And also burning it makes it, it's harder for Napoleon to, keep it, I guess. Winter was coming. So, yeah.
Of eyewitnesses who said that when the fire would go out in certain areas of Moscow, it would start in other areas randomly. So definitely a nuke. Another quite interesting argument is that the way Moscow of that time is portrayed is that it was a city basically made out of wood fully. So that is why it was very easy to burn, essentially. It was like the fire of London, kind of. But apparently the truth is that Moscow was mainly made of stone, and it wouldn't make sense for it to burn that well. And after this fire of Moscow, as these reptiloids are calling it, 75% of Moscow was completely destroyed. The Kremlin was in ruins, pretty much the entirety of the historical city center, etc. And essentially the main argument is that there is no way that Moscow could be destroyed this much and this quickly just by a fire, or like by regular dynamite. And also apparently right now in Moscow, there's a lot of radiation.
Okay, do people realize that, a small fire is different than the big ass fire? Big ass fire destroys many things, right? I mean, it's not the same thing. Physics kind of, that tells you that it's a bit different. If it's a big fire, like a whole city on fire, that will damage a lot of buildings.
Just the level of radiation is pretty high, which suggests that there was a nuke that was exploded in 1812. This is like nonsense. I mean, every city has radiation. Okay, so this is pretty convincing so far, but the conspiracy actually has more to it. There's actual documents, actual receipts, actual evidence that this happened. Let me just read it for you guys, and you'll see how trustworthy this evidence really is. A few years ago, some Moscow governmental official bought a abandoned mansion on the south of France. After buying it, he started renovating it, and in one of the sections of an old cabinet, he found a diary of some guy called Charles Artois, a lieutenant of Napoleon's army, who apparently returned to France after the war, and his diary had information about what really happened in 1812 in Russia. And these are the quotes from the diary. I was standing in the yard of a big Russian house. The sun above Moscow was low and was shining a golden light. Suddenly, a second sun appeared, very bright, very white, and very blinding. It only shined for about 5 seconds, but it actually burned the face of Paul Berger, who was chilling on the balcony. The walls on the roof of the house started to burn. I asked the soldiers to put out the fire with some water, and we saved it. The other buildings that
Burn the face of Paul, whatever he said. I guess it would have burned him whole if it burned his face, right? I mean, he wouldn't have been able to survive that.
were closer to this new sun started burning. It was this sudden blink of lights that was the reason of the terrible fire that destroyed Moscow. So yeah, guys, seems legit. It's there's no sources. There's no sources provided. I actually tried to Google Charles Artois, and I can't find any information about any Napoleon general like that. He probably did not exist. And
the name Charles Artois is like, think of a French name, to a foreigner, and that's the name they would come with.
Story is made up. Just some corrupt Russian politician buying a mansion in France and finding a fucking diary that says there was a nuclear explosion in 1812 in Moscow. Of course. Yeah, I believe it. But guys, it does not just end there. Here's another entry in his diary made a week later.
There is no way in hell atomic bomb is possible without E equals mc squared. And there was no Einstein in 1812. So that's the conspiracy is closed right there.
Started falling out. I told this to Jourdan, and he was facing the same issue. I think our whole regiment is about to become bald. A lot of our horses are falling sick, which the vets have no idea about. And yeah, then he basically says that we're leaving Moscow, and the only thing that, helps us going forward because we're so tired and sick is the hope to see our country of France again. So yeah, seems legit, guys. There was a second sun that appeared in the air. Let's not even think about the fact that there should be a nuclear blast that would fucking send you flying if you're in a radius of 50 kilometers or so.
Yeah, if you see a nuclear explosion, it looks like a sun to you, you're way too close. You're fucked. If you're in a safe zone, it would look like an explosion, but it wouldn't look like a second sun or something. We've seen footage of real nuclear explosions from the safe distance. It doesn't look like a second sun, right? If it looks like a second sun, then you're too close.
something. Nothing about that in this entry. I guess the guy who was some fucking 15-year-old in Russia who was writing this shit didn't know that there was a shockwave that appears after a nuclear blast. But also we can clearly see effects of radiation. Frenchmen having their hair fall out and becoming bald, the horses going sick and everything. It was a nuclear explosion, guys. It was radiation, motherfuckers would get killed. I'm convinced, bro.
Well, technically Napoleon had 500,000 men with him, and when he went back to France, basically he had like 50,000 or something. So yeah, maybe.
Not gonna lie, I'm an 1812
all of them
Moscow
died with
nuke
nuclear
truther.
winter.
And what's funny is that this theory doesn't even claim that the French did it or that the Russians did it. It's just like nobody knows. So it says that about 30,000 people died in Moscow of French people, and this so-called Charles Altrois became disabled as a result of this, and he came back to France and died at the age of 32 without any kids. So he was fucked up by the radiation, definitely. First Chernobyl survivor was this French guy. The next owner of the mansion, by the way, professor of physics and mathematics, of course, read the diary, consulted with experts, and came up with a theory that the French army that occupied Moscow in 1812 was struck by a nuclear weapon. most sane fucking scientists in all of Russia, of course. Now, before we get to the meat and potatoes, which is my favorite part, which is the explanation why this happened and who could have done this, let's look at some.
Let's be honest, if Napoleon was hit by a nuke and he barely ran away, I don't think he would have come back, right? He would have run to some island or something. I think he would have been he would be the guy who runs away to Americas or something, just live his life out there. Like, I'm not going back there. Fuck Europe, fuck everything. I'm not touching that nuke shit again.
Some other quick facts that these people who believe this theory say prove that there was a nuclear explosion in 1812. Apparently the summer of 1816 in Western Europe and also North America was extremely cold. It was like the coldest summer ever, and it was called the year without a summer. And according to them, that was the results of basically the residue of the explosion, the nuclear explosion in 1812 in Russia. Another point that they make is also that all of the forests in Russia, or at least in Moscow region, are pretty young and are not older than 200 years. No proof of this is provided, and none of them are like tree experts or whatever the science of it is called, but I believe it. And also, according to some of the more deranged people that believe in this theory, cancer only appeared first in the 19th century, which is not true, by the way. Cancer existed before, but essentially these people think that only after this nuclear explosion of 1812, that was the first time where cancer...
I like how they're using the fact that the first time we discovered cancer is when it appeared first. That's not the case. People didn't know what it was before. Right? I mean, it exists for centuries and millennia.
Appeared on Earth. There was no cancer before, so cancer started in Russia. How about that? Now let's talk about who did this and why there was an explosion in the first place and where they got this technology from. First version that these conspiracy websites give is that it might have actually not been a nuclear bomb, but a fall of a meteor. Basically, guys, okay. Chelyabinsk 2013, never forget. They basically experienced the same thing, but it actually crashed into the ground in Moscow and killed everybody. Not like that would literally destroy like half of Europe, but whatever. It's a plausible.
Look, city-killing asteroids are small enough that you know we get bombarded like that all the time. But we don't hear of cities getting destroyed because most of the planet is not cities, right? So there's a high chance it will fall somewhere there which is not a city, mostly in Pacific Ocean, right? So yeah, I mean, it can technically make sense, right? Like around 1812, an asteroid fell, Moscow's fucked. But then again, Moscow wouldn't be there at all, right? They would have to rebuild Moscow from the scratch if that's the case.
Plausible variant. There's also a second version which actually prefers my favorite, is that this nuclear airstrike was done by the request of the Russian government by the Great Ancients, which is, I'm reading out of the text, by the way, a crypto civilization that lives in underground Rus. This is basically some, you know, Hyperborea type shit, you know, like, actually that's a video I should make about that kind of conspiracy theory about like the super ancient civilization of Russia, and how like Russians are definitely, of course, the first people to ever exist, and there's like a secret civilization of Hyperborea that like still exists underground, like under earth or some shit, and their technologies are crazy, right? So they had nukes in 1812, and the Russian government just called them up and were like, yeah, we need to fuck these motherfuckers up. And the Hyperboreans gave them the nuke to destroy the French. I believe it. That's actually badass, bro. Sounds like a movie.
Alright, first of all, if they are that advanced, they had nukes well before we even understood it. Why are they living underground? Wouldn't they be the dominant species? Wouldn't they be on surface fucking us up, and we are the one who's running, underground to just run away from them? Why would they stay away from the sun and stay below ground like they're afraid of or something? They're supposed to be advanced. Why would they stay down there?
Movie. I believe that. That is my theory, bro. And also there is a theory about time travel, that apparently this was done by time travelers for some reason to save Russia from the French. I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, I think in World War II, America launched 3 nukes. One of them just went into the warp or something and dropped in 1812. Why not? It works.
And I mean, like, these articles, they're just full of, like, bullshit diary entries that never existed. I mean, first of all, citation needed. You know, that's, like, that's what you can call this video. Citation fucking needed. There's, like, text in Russian referring to some mystical fucking diaries of generals and, like, governmental officials of France, which probably never existed. There was some crazy shit that was going on in 1812 between France and Russia. You know, guys, if you're French, if you know anything about this, I know I got a lot of French viewers, so go down in the comments and please tell me, if your great-great-great-grandpa was fighting in Russia in 1812, he might have seen some shit that he shouldn't have. So let me know. I want to know this.
Well, Napoleon's one of the marshals became king of Sweden, I guess, right? And that's the family tree still going out. So I guess their royal locker or something somewhere would be hidden some text, royal text that describe this. I guess, I don't know.
Information, because we need to make this theory even more serious. This should be canon. This is actually what happens. Anyways, guys, yeah, I guess this is gonna be pretty much it for today's video, though. I just found out about this quite recently, randomly, and I thought this was amazing.
Yeah, seriously, this is, I mean, for fictional writing, this is great. This just tells us that how we humans basically have this, great mind for different fiction imagination, right? I mean, we already have the game like Stalker, which is awesome. It's based around the Chernobyl plant, right? We also have the games Metro, right, which is in the Moscow and underground metro because nuclear winter, blah, blah, blah. Same thing as Fallout, bombs fell and whatever, right? So yeah, more stories like this would create some kind of a game, some kind of a movie, some kind of a novel. It would be great. It's great. I mean, it's great for imagination, and yeah, but for a conspiracy where people believe this is true, I'm not going to be a fan of that. But yeah, for fiction, for imagination, it would be great. Alright, well, that was the Russia's most bizarre conspiracy by the channel NFKRZ. If you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.